Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's a wonderful Wednesday, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty relieved that Married at First Sight Boston is nearly over. But in a few moments, you're going to hear my thoughts and feelings on the Decision Day episode for this season of Married at First Sight. Now let me be completely transparent. Somewhere past the halfway mark of the season, I was pretty much done with reviewing the show. The episodes seemed to be mostly filler, and the cast members spent the bulk of their time rehashing the same 2 or 3 issues that they had for most of the season. But I'm glad that we are almost finished with the season, so without any further delay, here is my review. Jasmina and Michael are the first couple up for Decision Day. But before they meet the experts, we gotta see what feels like an eternity of Jasmina and Michael's highlights from the season. Now coming into Decision Day, I had very little hope that either one of them would say yes. And I know I might get some heat for saying this, but I'ma say it anyway. Michael was extremely patient and understanding with Jasmina throughout the entire season, and it is my opinion that Jasmina could have let brother Michael get 10 pumps in. I said Jasmina could have let brother Michael clap them cheeks respectfully, of course, but in 2 months of being in a committed relationship, all Jasmina and Michael have to show for it is a few kisses and one booty grab while asleep? Come on now. And I speak on the concept of intimacy because Jasmina continues to build a roadblock between Michael and her feelings, which is not fair to Michael. But when it comes time for them to decide whether they want to stay together or get a divorce, they both decide to stay together, which was a huge surprise because the rumor mill also hinted that they would ask for a divorce on Decision Day. I think that Michael truly wants to stay married to Jasmina, but I'm not sure if Jasmina would want to be with somebody like Michael, particularly if she doesn't see herself being intimate with him. I still think that Michael and Jasmina are more like Chris and Alyssa than Miles and Karen from the New Orleans season. I want them to succeed and have a happy marriage, but I'm also a realist and I don't have any faith in that. But next up is Olajuwon and Katina. And what I liked about their segment of the show is that it doesn't spend a whole lot of time going over their highlights for the season. Now coming into Decision Day, I was on the fence on whether Katina and Olajuwon would stay together. I knew Katina was completely committed to the process, but Olajuwon seemed like he was self-sabotaging along the way. But when they meet up with the experts, they admit that they still haven't had sex yet. And several episodes ago, I speculated that Olajuwon was the holdup in the area because Katina's friends were adamant to know whether she had consummated her marriage or not. It was nice for Olajuwon to admit that he has to care about a woman first before he gives him that pickle tickle, or else he'll be in straight up sniper mode. I know it's not wise to keep a woman in heat waiting too long, or else she'll find somebody else to crack her buns. But during this part of the episode, we get to hear about the highlights and low points of Katina and Olajuwon's marriage. And just when you think Katina and Olajuwon are on good terms, Olajuwon tells the experts that Katina can't cook and that his last meal was not edible. Katina then gives Olajuwon the death stare, and if I were Olajuwon, I wouldn't be eating anything else Katina prepared unless I knew we were on good terms. But it's time for the decision, and while Katina gives a relatively quick yes, Olajuwon gives a long, drawn-out yes, while telling a story about his late father, how his spirit guided the show to match him with the woman that was best for him. Olajuwon had everyone up in there crying, and that was the highlight of the episode. Next up is Steve and Noi. Coming into Decision Day, I expected both of them to say yes, but I was secretly hoping for Steve to say no. It's clear that Steve and Noi are at 2 different points in life when it comes to maturity and finances, and I fear that Noi will have Steve jump through hoops and hurdles to do whatever she wants. But they have their flashback scenes before meeting the experts, and they get to tell the experts about their positive experiences in the marriage, but they also talk about their challenges. And Steve makes a great point when he's concerned about having to take on the bulk of the load, which includes finances and cleaning up. But it's time for the decision, and both of them decide to say yes. And lastly, let's talk about Lindsey and Mark. This matching on Married at First Sight has got to be one of the craziest in the show's history. And going into Decision Day, I had absolutely no hope that these two would stick together, especially with Lindsey saying that she was done every 5 minutes. But there was a point in this segment where Mark had the floor to speak about his experiences, and the experts were laughing and having a good time. But when Lindsey had her turn to speak, she sucked all the air out of the room and made things tense, especially when calling Mark out on him being on social media, which was a complete bunch of nonsense if you ask me. But it was time for them to make a decision, and they both agreed to stay together. So there you have it, folks. The couples on tonight's episode were 4 for 4. Now on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate this episode a solid 4. I was pleasantly surprised by some of the decisions for this episode, and I was also glad to learn that Katina finally allowed Olajuwon to give her that good old pickle tickle. But this episode could have definitely been condensed into 1 hour, and it would have had the same impact. But it is my opinion that none of these couples will be together a year from today. And that's because at least one person in each marriage isn't there for the right reasons. But we shall definitely see how things have progressed at the reunion. But this marks the end of the video. If you have any questions or comments about the video or the review, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to reply to each and every comment. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.